This hearing is being conducted in consideration for the parole application for Allison Bouchard, inmate number 433904. He is serving a sentence of 20 years suspended after 8 years with 25 years probation for illegal sexual contact with a minor and sexual assault third. As of today, records reflect a parole eligibility date of December 4th, 2023. There is no victim input in the case. There is an offender accountability plan for the offender. It has been reviewed and shows that he has completed the Voices program, Tier 2, a job, and the short-term sex offender program. Utilizing the WRNA, the offender's overall score for recidivity falls into the moderate range. Mr. Bouchard, this is your opportunity to tell the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin.
I had written a letter.
Sure, go ahead, read that.
Okay. Thank you for your time, parole board members, for giving me the opportunity to speak on my behalf today. I am not the same person who entered 4 years ago. I have grown a lot here by doing programs that were provided to me here at the facility. The amount of remorse and regret that I feel still weighs heavy in my heart, and I truly feel horrible about the offense that I've committed. At the time of my arrest, I was not ready to talk about it with the victim, but today I am ready to make amends to the people I've hurt. I have learned through different groups how the victim was affected and how their family was affected as well. And it has made me become more aware and more sensitive how I treat people today and in the future. Before and during my arrest, I have struggled with depression, alcohol, and drug abuse, and it led me to hurt people and lack control of irrational behavior. But today I am 4 years sober-minded, and I'm thinking in a more stable mindset, thanks to proper medication, sobriety, therapy, and groups that I have done and worked very hard to achieve. I can get through my day without using drugs and alcohol. I have also had a job at the facility for 3 years now, and I complete my programs that are requested of me to do. Sorry, I'm a little shaky this morning. I don't show up late to my appointments or get into any trouble at this facility. I encourage those around me to go to groups, get a job, and go to school, and to be productive in their time here. I have shown support to a few of my close friends here by reminding them that we all have made bad choices, but we are all worthy of being given a second chance. I believe that I should be granted parole because I have spent my entire time here out of trouble, holding a job, having a good reputation at the facility, had done intense work on becoming a better person upon re-entering society. I also believe I can be a productive member of society. I've been working in a warehouse. I've gotten my forklift certification. I've been working there for 3 years now. I am truthfully sorry and remorseful for what I've done, and I take full responsibility for my own actions. I've put a lot of effort into becoming a better person in my time here by going to groups and working to prepare myself for release. Because of that, I am now more sensitive of how I treat people. I hope to make amends one day to the victim and the victim's family. And I'm hoping that you will give me the opportunity today to make amends with society by granting me parole. Thank you.
Thank you for your statement, sir. We do have questions for you. When we're done with our questions, we'll deliberate. You can listen to our deliberation and we'll give you our decision.
Yes, ma'am.
And we'll begin with my colleague, Ms. Chance.
Okay. So, you didn't want to be referred to as Allison, right?
I didn't, or
Mark?
Adam.
Adam?
yeah, Adam. That's okay.
Okay. Sorry.
That's okay.
Okay, Adam. So I know you participated in several programs, and in your opening statement, you talked about how what you learned in those programs helped to make you the better person that you are now. So I wanted to go back and ask you about Tier 2.
Mm-hmm.
What tools you learned in that program that you found very helpful?
So Tier 2 was a really good group. They had assigned me to do that right when I got here. And it was really good because it was in a group setting. And I had a lot of issues coping with triggers, and especially being in a stressful situation, it was hard to stay sober. But reaching out to people in the community here, whenever I felt like I needed a substance to help me, especially being in this stressful environment, it felt like I needed something to help me cope. But connecting with people and Counselor Cohen's the counselor that did the tier, that did the group was very good. She was on top of it. She was very helpful. And I just wish the group was longer. It was only I think 8 weeks. It was a very good group. It helped me out a lot.
So you were able to identify your triggers,
Yeah.
okay? And you developed some coping skills.
Yeah.
Okay. So the other program that you took was Voices.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about how helpful Voices was to you.
Voices was a really eye-opening group. That talked about the victim side of it. And I had not seen the victim side of it at all until I took that group. And that was a really hard group to do for me because most of us see the crime as a one-sided thing. And I already felt remorse about doing my crime, but I really truly felt the remorse afterwards, seeing how the victim was affected by their abusers and stuff. So it was a really hard group, but I'm glad I did it. It was really hard to do, but it was a really hard group.
But you were able to finish it.
Yes.
And you were able to have a better understanding of what you think the victim, the impact of the victim
Yes.
was.
Yes.
All right. So the other one was the short-term sex offender program.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Was that very helpful to you?
Yeah, it really was. Yeah, I chose to do that group, not in a group setting, because I felt like I would learn more on a one-on-one setting. So I think that was like a 4-month group. And I learned a lot about that too.
So you did a one-on-one for that?
Yeah. Yeah, I met with just a counselor in that group and nobody else was in the group.
Okay. And so what types of skills did you develop out of that program?
I learned that there was a lot of triggers and there was a lot of other reasons that sex offenders, that with my actions and myself, because I'm considered a sex offender, that there's a lot of reasons that people with that crime do that. And they're very angry and it was a really hard group. But I finished it and it was really eye-opening because there's things that people do and there's hurt that came out, and there was a lot of hurt that I had as a child, being sexually abused as a child. And a lot of that came out in the group that I was bearing down, and a lot of sex offenders have been sexually abused as children. And,
So you feel anger was part of your reason for why you committed that offense?
I
But
believe
What?
some, as well as, substance abuse was a big part of it too.
Okay, so anger and substance abuse,
I believe so.
but participating in the one-on-one for you was very helpful because you were able to deal with other issues that you
Yeah.
feel impacted your behavior.
Yeah, and I felt like I was able to open up more without having to be in a group setting where there was, other eyes to watch. And, having a charge like this, there's people who are very skeptical and kind of target you based on that. And I felt like I wouldn't be able to open up as much if I was in a group setting, having to worry about what the person next to me thinks about, you know what I mean? So I felt like it benefited me more.
Okay. So, in thinking of, what you're going to do when you go back in the community, what does your release plan look like?
So I'm going to be living with my grandmother and father. And they pretty much already have a room set up for me and everything. I'd pretty much have to be starting from scratch. I don't have a license. So that would be like the first thing. I'd have to get my name changed, job. I have been looking up, because they have an app on the tablet here. You can write your charge and look up jobs of what jobs hire for, specific jobs. I work in a warehouse and I've been there for 3 years now, and that's kind of the job I want to do once I get out. I don't really want to get like a little petty job. I want to get like a career job, so then I could work up the chain. So, and I do want to get my barber's license. I have a lot of things planned. I want to get my CDL license, and I have my forklift certification already. There's a lot of things that I have planned, I didn't have motivation before because my life was so run by alcohol, and
Yeah.
I had no motivation other than to get the next drink. And it was hard for me to keep a job. And now I've held a job here for 3 years. It's the longest time I've ever had a job.
So you like being a barber?
Yeah, I cut hair here. I also cut my own hair all the time, and it's something that I was doing before I got here. When I had my ins and outs of rehab, I would cut some of the residents' hair, to make some money so I can get cigarettes when I was in rehab. So it was
Why
fun.
CDL? Why CDL?
The CDL, because if I work in like a warehouse, I can be the truck driver, and that's really good money, really good money. So then I can get my own apartment and just get some stability in my life. So
What else do you think that you need to do when you go back in the community besides, a job and, going back to school and
definitely get in touch with doctors. I have to get on state insurance. I have to get back into IOP. I have to stay on my medication here because it's actually a really good medication that I've been on. I take it every day. It's a good cocktail sort of medication. And just get in the habit of everything I've been doing here. It's kind of like a routine to give me a structured routine that I didn't have before. So I'm kind of in the habit of waking up at the same time, taking my medication in the morning and going to work. It's like the same thing every day. So it's kind of helped me, get ready for when I leave.
When you go back in the community, you're going to have to follow through with participating in a sex offender program.
Yes, I do know that. Yeah.
Okay. One thing that you also did is you were asked about what you consider a high risk for you when you go back in the community. And your answer to that was running into the victim and the victim's family. Have you thought about how you would deal with that?
I have thought about it. I just would avoid places that, because that's why I want to get my license. So then, I wouldn't have to work in the same town as where I live. I could work, many towns away. I've already been pre-thinking. I'm not going to be working in the same town. I'm not going to be shopping in the same town. I'm not going to be, I'm living a town over, but I'm not going to be shopping. I'm not going to be, it's like when you get sober, you can't go back to the same places. You can't go back to your stomping grounds because once you go back there, old habits come back. You know what I mean? I can't, so.
Yeah, but that even if you were out there and you encounter, what you have to do.
Yeah.
What is it that you would?
I would probably have to call my parole officer and let him know that I had seen them out and to let him know that I had not made any contact, that I have seen them at such and such place.
Okay. And I know this is your first offense, so I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Chair. Mr. Poe?
Thank you. Do you prefer Adam or Mr. Bouchard?
Either or.
So, Adam, just a couple things, because you sound like you're in a really good place.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I read was that you didn't like, AA meetings. And
Prior, yeah.
it's okay. I mean, I just wanted to talk for a second. So what is it about them that you didn't like?
I think it was the older crowd. I hate to say it like that. I like NA meetings more.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you're open to going to some like 12-step recovery meetings?
Yeah. Yeah, I think they have more of like, NA meetings usually have more of like a younger crowd. So
Yeah.
I prefer usually those.
Right. There's also young people's AA meetings. So you take a look at that.
Mhm.
Do you think your gender issues, you think that drove your substance use at all?
Yeah, I believe so.
So when you came out to meetings, did you find meetings that you felt comfortable in and that you could get the support that you need?
When I was out in California for a stretch of time, right before I had, got arrested, I was out there and at Sober Living, and they had meetings out there with LGBT meetings. I'm sure they have them around here,
They do.
because it's more. I just don't know the exact locations, but those
Yeah.
type of meetings I really enjoy going to.
They do. It's really important. The work that you've done. You talked about doing a lot of really good work. And you had a really great recovery plan that you put together that I read that when you met with Officer Boisford, you were able to share that. And certainly you've come along and you've taken programs and you have a lot of great insight, So it's the reentry piece, and and I think you have a really good handle on what you want to do coming back into the community. I just want to make sure that you to be successful. And certainly I've talked about it with a couple of people before. CCAR has recovery coaches. I know that the recovery coaches are really active there at York.
What is CCAR?
The Connecticut Community for Addiction Recovery.
Okay.
And they have coaches that help with the transition back out into the community. And they can really identify resources and things like that, recovery related, that you might, find support in.
Okay.
So, I would suggest that, your successful reentry is really important to us as an organization.
Yeah.
All right. I wish you well.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Paul. So I'm sure you're aware, sir, that there will be restrictions. You'll be supervised by a specialized unit in the community. And you also have 25 years of probation to follow this sentence. You're aware there's a protective order in place for your victim
Yes.
till 2099. Okay.
Yeah.
And there's restrictions with minors too. I just want you to be aware, be very cautious because they take that very seriously. Is your family divided as a result of your offense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
But you do still have some family support.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any friends? Any other support?
No, everyone pretty much. Yeah. Everyone's gone.
Okay. All right.
Once I got
Well,
here.
it's something that you'll need to work on, right?
Yeah.
And hopefully you'll get out there and find your way, but certainly you're on a positive path and you've taken the steps necessary for that head start. So we wish you the best. Give us a minute to deliberate and we'll give you our decision shortly. Ms. Chance.
So, Mr. Bouchard has done very well for himself. I appreciated the fact that he shared how helpful Tier 2 and Voices and the short-term sex offender program was. And, the fact that he chose to do the one-on-one, which helped him provide more insight into why he did what he did. And I think he has a very good release plan, and he has some support. He's going to sponsor to his grandmother's house, and he has a good release plan. He identified what a high risk was for him and how he would deal with it. And so I think Adam is ready to go back.
Thank you. Mr. Paul.
So Mr. Bouchard has done well with this incarceration, and he has a really good plan as he re-enters the community. I would support his parole at this time.
Thank you. Agreed. Okay, in the matter of Allison, also known as Adam Bouchard, inmate number 433904, I'll make a motion to grant parole effective today, February 16th, 2024, with the following conditions. No contact with your victim, initials BC. You'll participate in a sex offender treatment program in the community. You're not to have contact with minors without the permission of your parole officer. You are not to consume alcoholic beverages. I had a mental health eval.
Yeah.
And a mental health evaluation and treatment if deemed necessary. Is there anything further?
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, sir. Do you understand? It's a lot, and you will get it in writing, and you'll sign off on these conditions. But do you have any questions?
No, thank you. God bless you.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Wish you the best. Keep
Thank
working.
you.
Okay.
Thank you.
This concludes care for Allison, also known as Adam Bouchard, inmate 43390.
Right. So what did we just watch? We just watched an offender who does the worst to those who are the most vulnerable, those who cannot protect themselves. And she does this. She receives 2 felonies, a class B felony and a class C felony. Not as bad as a class A, but she got the maximum sentences for those felonies. 20 years for the B, 5 years for the C. And we know how lenient judges are in general when it comes to these cases and how lenient they are in Connecticut. Now, it's not fair to, we don't know. Maybe she walked upon a judge that is strict, but most likely what she did was terrible. She didn't go to trial. She took a plea deal, and they plead down on these cases. We don't have information on what it is that she did because it's all hidden under the rug. She took a plea deal. There's no transcripts of the trial. But if experience can teach us anything, is that she did the worst. And not just to the most vulnerable, not just to that who is under the age of 16, but also to a relative. And yet she is somehow out within 5 years. And then she is somehow out on parole when literally the interview was just garbage, which is typical what we see with offenders of this nature. To actually have the cluelessness, the idea that she blames her substance abuse issues on why it is that she committed these acts, which is BS to begin with, in my opinion, and then to state that she didn't want to attend AA because the reason why, because she prefers younger crowds. I didn't want to go to AA because the people were older there. Is the irony not how do you even make that statement when you're look what you're in prison for? And the parole board is just like, oh, let's put on the white gloves. Let's be all nice. How do you want to be called? You can't make this stuff up. She has nowhere in her plan when she gets out what it is, what program she's going to go to. This is actually a serious thing. I'm not all into the programs. I think it's these parole officers are drunk on the Kool-Aid. Like, how much is a program actually going to help someone? Probably a tiniest percentage. But one thing that I can sign up for is making sure that you have AA inside in your if you're going to tell me that you are so overwhelmed by your substance abuse that's what sent you down this road to do something that altered the life of the most vulnerable, that wrecked your own family, that gave you a 25-year sentence, yet somehow all of it suspended, and then you're not even gonna have a plan to go to AA? Joke. And then the whole prison system puts on white gloves for her. Here's your cocktail of drugs. Go ahead and, continue your what it is that you want to do on the taxpayer dollars. And and then not only that, but when you go to your classes where you have to go to in prison for your sex offender classes, you can actually go one-on-one instead of having a group therapy. Because why? She doesn't want people to look at her and say, "Oh, why would you do that?" She doesn't want people to judge her. And so they actually arrange one-on-one, which is nuts. This is prison. What do you think is going to happen in the real world when you have to get out and attend these programs? You don't think people are going to judge you and look at you? But no, in Connecticut prisons, they'll let you do these classes one-on-one because they don't want your feelings to get hurt. And I just can't believe what I saw. In Connecticut, they don't ask her to say, "What did you do?" which is a huge aspect of a parole hearing. Sometimes they ask, but they don't, because depending on what they answer will tell you everything you need to know. We have seen over and over again in Louisiana hearings when they say, "What did you do?" And so often those who offended against the most vulnerable will actually say, "They came on to me. It was their fault. I didn't do anything wrong." And when you hear those answers, if there was any doubt, that they are not safe to be out in the public. But they don't even ask those questions. And so to sum it up, you have someone who offends the worst kind of nature. They don't attend AA because the crowd's too old. They attend their classes one-on-one because they don't want people to judge them. They blame their actions because of their substance abuse issues, but have no plan or even are allowed to be mandated to have a plan to attend those substance abuse programs once they get out. And this is what you call a system after getting let out over, I guess, getting a 25-year total sentence and serving about 5. This is what you call a system that's put in place to protect the public. It's madness. And you probably wouldn't believe it if you didn't see it, but that's why I do this. And with that, I'll let you go.